Okay. We were down 1.6 seconds left. Off the inbounds pass, I ran to the three-point line. My teammate passed it to me. Got the shot off, literally sinking as the buzzer rang. Very few feelings in the world that can describe the adrenaline and the rush that you get in that moment. I love everything about sports. I like playing sports, I like watching sports, I like following sports. I love watching athletes when they are on the biggest stage in the world and seeing what they can do, how they can perform in that moment. What I really like is knowing what brought them there and their story, the struggles that they've been through, and what motivates them to work hard and strive for greatness. Growing up as a professional athlete's daughter, I've experienced a lot firsthand, the advantages and disadvantages of coming from that background, being in that environment. The expectations that come with it, a lot of media attention, people's faces when they find out who my father is. There's just a lot of dynamics to it that I've grown up with that not many people have. I grew up in a house where sports were a big thing. I was pretty active, always running around and kicking around, and I remember in preschool I did a cartwheel and I flipped over my lunch and I had a lot of energy. Naturally, you know, like there's always basketballs lying around, and so I just started picking it up. When we came to America, and I would just be in the neighbor's driveway and shooting hoops, then the neighbor was so surprised, and he would tell everyone on the street about how this 5-year-old little girl could make all these shots. During that time, my dad was actually still in Taiwan coaching basketball. But every time he would come back, you know, he'd teach me more stuff and I'd practice more stuff, and that was kind of the time that we spent together. And so playing basketball meant something, I think, even deeper than just the sport itself, but it was like a relationship thing with me and my dad. Even though I had so much fun playing basketball with my dad when I was younger, but as I got older, it actually got really difficult and complicated having my dad as my coach. There's already, to start with, a lot of cultural differences and generational differences, a lot of personality differences between my dad and me. And so it was really hard to manage at that time the expectations that I thought that he had for me or that he actually had for me. I think as a spectator or a fan, all you see a lot of times is the fame and the glory and the game-winning shot, but you don't see a lot of the struggle behind it and everything that's involved behind the scenes, personal things going on that you have to manage while still being able to perform. A large part of being an athlete that molded who I am today was the trials and the difficulties. Growing up in America, one of my biggest struggles was being usually the only Asian American person on the team. In a sport that is so dominated by Black culture, I experienced a lot of negativity. I was smaller and skinnier and shorter than most of my teammates. I was actually bullied a lot, and they say stuff like, Asian people can't play basketball, Asian girls all shoot like this, they can't do that. A little extra push there, another shove there, and like they would make sure that I knew that they were doing it on purpose. Because of all the negativity and the hatred I felt from the people like closest to me in that environment, I just walked away from the game and I hated it. My parents, they were still encouraging me a lot to go back to the team. My coach constantly, like every time I'd see him, he would be like, hey, I need you back on the team. Looking back, I realized that just walking away doesn't ever resolve anything, and running away from your problems doesn't make them disappear. And so with the support of my coach and my parents, I went back to the team and I decided, you know what, I deserve to be here and I belong to this team because I have the skills and the talents to contribute. Going through that part of my life has shaped me immensely, and I really had to learn how to overcome hearing what people say or what people think about me. I had to have that strength on the inside, and I had to learn to embrace people and accept them even if they didn't act that way towards me. One of the biggest challenges of being an athlete is learning to define yourself apart from the game and apart from what you do. And I definitely experienced that. I almost didn't really know who I was outside of basketball. And I think it's really important dealing with all of our perceived successes and failures and being able to be confident apart from who other people say you are because of your skills or talents or abilities. You're faced with it head on when you're somebody that is familiar with success and familiar with people's praise. In the end, you need to know who you are. I've had to find my self-worth and my value and know for certain where that lies, and it's not in my successes and it's not in praises of people. It's knowing that I'm valuable in and of myself, and that's where my confidence and my strength comes from.